The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
Hey, we're live, boys. Sorry I didn't give you a countdown. I was doing something else. Everybody, welcome to what is already proving to be yet another train wreck of Windows problems. Although not on my end for once. Although they can't see me because my little Skype preview thing is jacked the hell up, as they say. Everybody, this is Wes Forsyth. I'm your host for the evening of Scarefest TV. The original broadcast date is April 23rd, 2021. And my guests tonight are the Spirit Mechanics themselves, Brian and Steve. Hello, boys.
What's going on, guys? Hey! Looks like we made it. Gosh.
Yes, I wish I'd framed this up better because now I'm going to be framed. Go to all, everyone. That way I'll be little facing.
There we go. There.
That'll look much better for the viewing public.
There we go.
Yeah, everybody, for once it was not my computer that went all sideways. It was someone else's. We do not have any celebrity announcements tonight. Sorry. We got a bunch in the pipeline. One big one, actually several big ones, but the contracts didn't get to us by today. So it is what it is. Gonna go ahead and announce, though, that we do have something special tonight. After the show, you know how we normally have a Zoom meeting. Let's see. I'm gonna turn that off so it's not across his forehead. And take two.
Yeah, I got the monitor up so I can actually see.
Okay. Now, anyway, for tonight's meet and greet Q&A with the boys, it's actually a public meet and greet. If you go to
cool.
go to patreon.com/scarefestradio, it's a public post. All the information is there. You just have to click on the post. You don't have to join. You don't have to pay. And that's greatly because these boys have supported the show for so long that I said, this is my way of giving back to expose more of Scarefest. You did Scarefest TV in it, you know. Okay, anyway, everybody, this is the Spirit Mechanics, the core of the group. I'm an associate member or some bullshit like that. I don't know.
You're actually a member. Yeah, you do the damn thing. You do the thing.
You're Pop.
Claim you.
Yeah, I'm Pop. I'm the fatherly wisdom that they seek when they need it.
Actually, honestly, it's not wrong.
So, wow, this is really going sideways tonight, isn't it? This is what happens when you have zero prep time. So, okay, first of all, let's just introduce everyone to the Spirit Mechanics. Tell them what Spirit Mechanics does.
Go for it, dude. I'm getting that. As Brian is making sure that everybody knows that it's a public deal afterward.
Well, tell them if they were watching the show now, they would already fucking know that.
Truth.
Okay. That's that. And meanwhile,
as my neighbor decides to show the neighborhood how big his manhood is. Anyway, what Spirit Mechanics actually does, aside from making fools of ourselves on internet television, is we're a group that is 99% comprised of all sensitives. We have different modes of working. Each of us has a different spiritual path, a different styling and metaphysics. And the way that we work is we go in as a team to clean houses, to do exorcisms, to do paranormal investigations. And it's one of those things that you don't really expect you're ever going to do, but when you start doing it, you just love doing it. We try our best to make our pages, especially our Facebook page, it's a community page. We don't run Spirit Mechanix as a business. It's currently run as a nonprofit. Anything that we make goes back into the team or goes to help families that we go to see, so that it cuts down costs. Because when we go to see people, the only thing we charge is travel. Our expenses for travel, if we have to stay somewhere, gas money, and a sandwich. So we do our best to make ourselves available to anybody and everybody. And we also want to make sure that people feel safe. We were the kids that started developing gifts very young. And because of that, you get misunderstood, or you get overlooked, or you get told that that's not real, or, that you're talking crazy, or different things like that. And you don't get the support that you need. We want to be supportive for those who are just now starting to come into their gifts. Give them a sort of classroom, a place that they can come and ask questions or talk about what they have going on. So a lot of what we do is support, counsel, and tutoring as well.
We wear many hats.
That's I'd say, well, that's about 90% of what I've seen you guys do. Of course, now I have worked with them on a case. But honestly, I don't know, for the first 2 or 3 years that I knew you guys, it was just pretty much a matter of you all sitting at the mystical fair or the mystical market, and people coming in, including myself, and sitting and bullshitting with you for an hour or so. Did some energy work on me. One time, I actually paid them to do some energy work, but I got it back. So
you did. You did.
Now, what all are you all doing online? I'm going to confess that very rarely do I even get to log in, because you're younger than me and you stay up later than I do. So there's that. But you almost every night of the week, it seems like you all are doing something on a live stream. So what if people look you all up online, and you can find them by going to Spirit Mechanix with an X? What all do you all do online as far as?
Well, right now we do a live stream every Wednesday. Those live streams basically are kind of like a little podcast, just us kind of really just shooting the breeze with people who jump on, and we consider everybody that jumps in our streams friends. So we just kind of shoot back and forth. They bring up a topic, we talk about the topic most of the time. Steve on Saturdays does the forecast. We do an energetic movement forecast that Steve does just about every Saturday.
Just about, yeah.
We pop up every so often just to kind of give a random thought or a word, as far as like, hey, this is something that's on my mind, I want to talk about it, or whatever. And then there's the of course, we do random memes throughout the week just for something to kind of keep content rolling through our social medias via Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.
We've also got some special posts a couple days of the week. We do a card of the week, which is pretty standard with most meta pages, psychic medium.
That's how I got my start.
So we actually, We could. We could have you. We could have you do some bad tarot readings one night.
Get on here with us on our streams.
Yeah, why not?
I can do it. I finally did last week. I finally did my first virtual bad tarot card. Yeah, bad tarot reading gallery, and it's one of those things. See, you all are more confident about this stuff. See, I do a bad tarot card reading, and people
Sure.
ask me these important questions, and I'm like, do you realize who you're asking? And I give them what the cards tell me.
Right.
Right. As
And
you should.
and looking back over my past readings, I'm been freakishly accurate.
Mhm.
That being said, I've never done it virtually, so I had like half a dozen people ask me these questions, and I could have been completely wrong because I didn't get the little tingle in the back of the neck that I do when I'm really on it.
Right.
But, you know, let's
Well,
see.
The only reason why we're confident is just we do it a lot, and we practice. I mean, as far as like I tell everybody, at least in our streams, that I practice with what I do just about every day. There's little exercises and little things that I do. Especially when we go to the bar.
Oh, yeah.
People watching. Give random readings, but not really give that to them. Just give a random reading while we're at a bar, or
Whereas I'm that other guy.
he'll just walk up and say, "Hey, this is what I saw."
Hey, you're a blind dude, right? Yeah, but you got this going on with you. How'd you know? Cool.
Now I've got a question from the chat room. One of the things I did want to ask you, because you mentioned about your energy forecast.
Uh-huh.
Now I've seen a lot of posts online that this year people have talked about the weird energy. Now to me, there's been weird spikes, but nothing ongoing. In other words, it
That's
doesn't just cut you up for 2 or 3 weeks like it did last year. It'll be a night or two, and then it goes back to what I would call normal. Is that what
Yep.
you all have observed this year, or?
Yes. That's absolutely correct.
As far as like, it's been a pretty even keel. There's been spikes as far as like what I would call dense movement every so often. Usually around the time that there's a big emotional upheaval amongst the greater populace. So it usually just causes the flow to kind of move.
So every god dang Monday is what you're saying.
Well, close. I mean, if you subscribe to astrology, now when I do forecasts, I do apply a little bit of it, but I look at it from an alchemist perspective instead of an astrologist perspective. So I look at what the retrograde actually does as opposed to what it does. Here's the plain and simple, as opposed to here's tons of information thrown out on your kitchen table. And the big thing is that Mercury was by itself for the longest time. Mercury is the only retrograde that actually affects the planet physically, scientifically proven to alter electronics, especially if they're sensitive. So things like satellites, so cell phone towers, sensitive equipment as far as even sonar, things like that, different types of radar, geomagnetic readers, it messes with them. They don't read accurately. And it actually does have an effect on the geomagnetic flow of our planet, which is what causes those spikes. Mercury's out of the picture, and now we've got Pluto. Well, Pluto is a planet that doesn't affect us directly, at least not physically. But it is the cause of why people are so overly emotional right now. Pluto causes conflict, specifically inner conflict. It makes you question your decisions to make sure that you make the right decision. And a lot of people are having trouble with that because change is scary, and we've been locked in our houses for a year and a half.
See, that's where I was going next is, oh my God, you mean something to pile on emotionally to everybody just absolutely going stir crazy. And, I'm not... I am blaming the lockdown, but I'm blaming the isolation from each other.
Of course,
That's that it's not the jobs, it's not the economy, it's I don't think it's even the fear anymore. But I do think that is not a healthy state for humans. We're going to take our first commercial break, everybody. We'll be right back with more Spirit Mechanics.
Spirit Mechanics is here to help. Their background includes many different specialties across the metaphysical spectrum, including alchemy, shamanism, Celtic witchcraft, angelic magic, astral travel, and more.
With over 30 years combined experience in the group, you can be confident in their ability to help. If there is a question you have that you cannot answer, they will do their best to assist you.
Metaphysics can be intimidating, confusing, and unfortunately, abused. Spirit Mechanics takes pride in being selfless in the pursuit of helping others, being humble and honest with their clients about their questions, and lastly, maintaining a professional and personable atmosphere. They want you to feel as you are coming to a close friend, and they will do everything in their power to make you comfortable and safe.
TellMeTarot.com. Rare tarot and oracle decks for the discerning enthusiast or collector. Our decks are not for everyone. If you are a rare deck collector, art collector, or simply fall in love with a deck, then we might be for you. Right now, get 10% off your first order just for subscribing to their newsletter. Shipping is just $5.99 in the United States. TellMeTarot.com.
As the era of 80s slasher films was slowing and audiences were losing interest, the Friday the 13th series released what was supposed to be its final chapter this week back in 1984. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, picks up immediately where Part 3 leaves off as we see a presumably dead Jason Voorhees being led into the morgue. Jason spontaneously resurrects, escapes, and heads back to Crystal Lake, where he continues on his murderous killing spree. Audiences welcomed the film with overwhelming praise, and the final chapter is viewed by many as the best in the series. Despite the franchise's attempt at putting an end to Jason, the film's success led to more sequels and helped cement Jason Voorhees into horror movie history. And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest TV. Tonight we are talking to the Spirit Mechanics, Steve and Brian. Okay, now, from the chat room, what is your most interesting story? Kind of a lot of pressure. I'm going to change it. What is your favorite story about how you've helped a family or even maybe a child psychic struggling with their ability?
Oh man, there's so many.
That's some pressure.
Because
But just think about make it interesting instead of your favorite. So
right. Wow.
Because usually, we don't get like children. We get teenagers anywhere, from their parents bring them in about 13 to about 17. They'll, they're going through this or whatever. And I'm trying to remember one specifically.
The girl that where the dad brought her in specifically to see us.
Yeah. I'm 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 fuzzy, dude. That's been like 4 years ago. So
That,
if you remember it,
there was when it was when the big monthly bit was still Mystical Fair, and it was hosted by Patty Starr. We had just started. You know, it was a new thing. We had just got our booth, and there was a father that came in with his daughter, and she was mid late teens, something like that, and was presenting symptoms of a duality. So not necessarily a full split personality, but the shifts in mood were stronger than just manic depression. It was, she would take on different mannerisms. And for us, that's a direct sign of an attachment. And there was another affiliated psychic who were, go see these guys. They say that they can help you with that. Go give them a try. He brings her in and he's telling us what's going on, and we take a look, and she is exceptionally gifted. We're talking about some of the strongest ESP that we had seen at that particular point. An extremely strong empath and telepath, was able to actually speak to what was with her in her own mind. And that's what was being perceived as the duality. Come to find out, there was an entity that was attached that had taken an appearance similar. The easiest way to actually explain the way it looked was a harpy. So for those who don't know, it's basically a half woman, half bird. Strange kind of attachment.
yeah, we never see anything like that. So,
And she was saying that it was starting to suggest things, take control at times, and we started asking her, "Have you been talking to it?" And she said, "Well," and looks at her dad, and her dad didn't know that it was that kind of situation, and then looks at us, and we're like, "It's okay." And he goes, "It's fine. I didn't know, but it's fine." And she goes, "Yeah, I can speak in my head," and she hears it. And then when I speak, the response is hers. And I'm like, that's neat. So on top of being a telepath, she was also a channeler. So she was connecting in her mind to this entity and then channeling it and allowing it to speak through her without knowing. So that was a process. That was an actual spiritual surgery that had to go down at that point. And it was all hands on deck. It was me, Brian, Ethan, and actually I think Tiff was in on that one.
yeah, Tiff was there too.
So all four of us, the four founding members of Spirit Mechanix, literally just converged on this thing. As soon as we had it released and got rid of it, you saw this glazed over look over her eyes, almost like the TV screen had staticked out. And actually, that's when you stepped in.
Being honest, I remember I don't remember a lot of the details of that day after that point, because that's one of my things too. Is once I make a connection, my memories go as far as like of the situation itself. So I'll start channeling things around that same vein, and I just start to speak, and I don't even remember what I said. I don't even remember what I did. I'll be real with you.
Okay. So this particular situation, when he connected, Ethan actually had to hold on to him physically. Not like he was going to do anything.
I just needed a physical touch. All right, I'm still here.
some kind of physical anchor,
Mm-hmm.
and he actually started talking to the girl telepathically. His eyes glazed over too. So Ethan's keeping Brian from falling over, and you know, the rest of us are trying to keep the dad calm. It's like, it's okay, they're cool. You know, they're talking. What do you mean they're talking? It's cool, man. They're actually talking. And all of a sudden, they both snap out of it. It's 7, 8 minutes later. They both snap out of it, and she looks up at Brian and goes, "That was cool." And he looks at her and goes, "I know, right?" And they've come back by every so often. We see them. We see them about once a year. They actually stop by and say hi to us, and she'll kind of reach out. So this is what's been going on. You know, that I don't want Dad to know.
I got you.
So, have you been able to teach her to either protect herself or learn where the off switch is?
Yes, that was one of the things that we ended the session on once we knew that she was okay, because that's first priority, is making sure the person is stable,
Mm-hmm.
that they've got their faculties, everything's fine. And then we started going through the shielding process. You know, this is how you shield. This is how you set up boundaries when you're channeling. You know, you should never give something full control. You're only allowing it to speak. You're only allowing yourself to hear it. You're only allowing certain things. And she went from, I have no idea what's going on, to being able to literally walk in the room and tell everybody something. It's the coolest thing when this girl shows up, because she just literally, she'll pop in, "Hey, I'm here," and nobody sees her mouth move. "Hey, I'm here." Cool chick.
Well, while we're on the topic of attachments, we've got a question from the chat room. I'm gonna do what I did last time. Ask another related question first.
Okay.
I see the word attachment thrown around a lot in the mystical fairs, to the point where, and on TV, to where there's a lot of people who, that seems to me that becomes their go-to response for anything that's going weird in their life.
Yes.
To your experience, when people come in saying, "Hey, do I have an attachment? I think I have an attachment," whatever, how often is it actually something energetically that you can remove that you would call an attachment?
Only half the time, literally.
Okay. We do. I have a lot of experience in counseling where I used to be a youth pastor. So being able to pick out different, especially mental illness stuff, that's usually one of the first things when somebody comes up to me and they say, "Hey, I have an attachment," and I usually, all right, I start asking the gambit of questions, being both an intuitive and a counselor. So what I'm basically trying to do is diagnose the situation from a mundane perspective first, and then I'm ruling that out. And if they don't have, exhibit any of the symptoms or answer the questions the right way, then I'll go into, okay, and I'll probably nudge Steve. I think it is, or nah, it's probably this.
Yeah. You know, and it's one of those kinds of things that it's usually called an attachment, but an unwillingness to let go of something and an attachment are two very, very different things.
Yeah.
And that's the difference that we usually see. It's usually an emotional trauma, a PTSD triggered moment, some kind of... we've actually seen people suffering from EMR that come in and say they've got an attachment when it's nothing but audible or even visual hallucinations due to EMF poisoning. So you have to understand. It's kind of like the word psychic. The word psychic is such an overused term that it has no credibility anymore, and that's kind of where attachment is going. It's a blanket term for anything that is foreign, and that's not the correct way to look at it. That's not how that works.
Fascinatingly enough, different types of attachments. You have, the physical attachments, which is primarily what we remove. The emotional attachments, if it's an outside entity or an entity that is internalized. And then you have your spirit guides. Your spirit guides are technically an attachment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a soul attachment. So that's another thing.
Okay, now a question from the chat room was, have you two in particular, have you ever had your own attachment? And if you have, what did you do to deal with it?
Which time?
Well, pick one that really affected you. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Oh, Lord. All right, here we go.
Getting an attachment is like going through the woods in the middle of the summertime and getting ticks.
Yeah, having a tick fall out of the tree on top of you.
Yeah, you're going to get them. They're extremely common. It just depends on your emotional stability or your physical stability, whether or not they're going to attach in that manner as far as like to be detrimental. If you're, somewhat emotionally stable, it's not going to like to be attached for very long. It's not the right frequency. It's not the right. The milk tastes bad is the easiest way to kind of explain it. The worst one that I've seen as far as myself was at the apartment. What was it, about 5 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It was about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
My wife at the time called Steve. Hey, he's acting weird. He's acting funny. He's not acting like himself. And they drove, because I lived in a small town outside of Paris, and they drove, like an hour and a half to get there. And all right, dude, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know she even called you. Hey, you guys are, what's going on? And the process started, and by the end of the night, it was an interesting situation as far as me, because there's parts of it that I just don't remember. Of course, when you get that level of an attachment, you're not going to remember much. I do remember having a lucid moment and taking the Florida water and taking a swig of it, which is not advised because it's awful.
Yeah, you should not do that.
No. But after that, I pick ticks off of myself every so often. I'll pick ticks off of him. He'll do the same thing to me. What about your worst one?
So, do we go?
A new school.
New school.
Yeah, we want to go back in the day, man, because I wasn't there.
Okay. Because there's a difference.
Yeah.
Let's see, the worst one. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we were all hanging out here at the house. And this is one that I don't remember parts of. But we were actually helping somebody. We were removing an attachment from them. And
I wasn't here.
Yes, you were. And because you're gonna remember as soon as I say this next bit.
Okay.
So we're in the process of doing the thing, and at the time, in order to get it loose, I had to use more of a medicine practice. And what a medicine practice is it's cycling. You're taking the ailment, the energetic issue, the malady into your own being and then recycling it and giving it back as healing. Once your body has processed it, you're giving it back. Well, the problem is that there was a stop motion. It went nope. And as soon as it went nope, it was straight up, get me the fuck away from the house. So here go the guys.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was out in the backyard.
Yep, here go the guys. I'm like, get me away from the house. I'll tell you what to do. Just get me away from the house. So they, in their infinite wisdom, dragged me all the way to the far back corner of my backyard. Well, at the time, we had a compost pile there. And guess where I landed?
Face down.
Face down. Thud. All right. One of you put a knee in my back. What? One of you put a knee in my back. And I heard my tone, and I noticed that I was not speaking normally at that point. We had a much different tone, and it was more than one voice. Shit. Brian, put your knee in my back.
Cool, got you.
And I start to lift him off the ground.
Finally, I just sat on his back.
Yep. I start to lift him off the ground, and I'm like, because that's where I start to lose bits, and I'm like, whoever else is here needs to get this out.
And that was a night. That was a night. That's about as far into that situation as I'll go.
Oh man.
It was wild.
Everyone, we're going to go ahead and pop into our next commercial break. You're watching Scarefest TV, and our guest tonight are the Spirit Mechanics.
Come visit the Universal Energy Expo, May 1st and 2nd at the Northern Kentucky Convention Center. Meet special guests, Shaman Coyote Chris Sutton and Psychic Southern Gypsies. Over 100 readers, healers, and vendors. Admission also includes door prizes, workshops, and all seminars. The Universal Energy Expo. Come curious, leave enlightened.
Mama Ruby offers fun vendor-based events that focus primarily on the metaphysical and spiritual aspects of our lives. Well, 2020 didn't go as planned, to say the least. Since Mama Ruby's can't bring the vendors to you in person, they still encourage you to support them online. For links to these and other outstanding artists, craftspeople, vendors, and psychics, visit mamarubies.com and click shop. Okay, everybody, gonna go through our business announcements. Okay, tonight after the show, 10:15, because we're running 15 minutes late, we are going to have the Spirit Mechanics over on our Zoom platform for a little meet and greet Q&A. I might even drink a beer. That's how tonight went. Anyway, so if you go to patreon.com/scarefestradio, this one is public. You can go there. You can see the post that has tonight's login information. Join us about 10:15 and talk to the boys yourself. Next up, I want to remind everybody, tickets are on sale for the Scarefest. Scarefest 13 Resurrection, October 22nd through 24th. Go to thescarefest.com. Get your tickets now. And while you're there, buy a ticket to throw axes with killers. We're up to, actually, I think 6. I still got to put another celebrity on there. But we got a whole bunch of celebrities. We're going to have up to 9, I believe it is. 9 celebrities we can have. And if we sell the tickets out, they will be throwing axes with you on, that's Friday night. The Mystical Market is coming up in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever the hell it is. Anyway, 8th and 9th, I believe, are the dates, and that's at the Clarion on Newtown Pike. I will be there for that. That is the Central Kentucky Mystical Market. I will be there for that. for the probably Saturday and Sunday, and we'll talk about it when we come back. But I'm thinking about doing a little cosplay. Speaker applications are still being taken until at least the 1st of May. I'm not sure if the deadline's 1st of May or the end of May. So I better look that up before I talk about it anymore. Film festival entries are open. Now, you got all summer to do that, but the price goes up as you wait. So if you get a independent film, horror film, and you want to get it in, and honestly, because we get farther and further behind, we pay more attention to the ones to be blunt about it. It's easier to watch them now than it is in October. The Scarefest gift shop, scarefestradio.com. Click the gift shop link. We have Scarefest Radio hats and t-shirts. We have the Lost Year Scarefest t-shirts and sweatshirts. And yes, they are still selling, everybody. I don't think we sold out of any of the Lost Year stuff. Some of the Scarefest Radio stuff already sold out. And I do want to remind everybody, once again, one of our sponsors, the Universal Energy Expo, May 1st and 2nd is coming up. Former co-host of Scarefest Radio, Coyote Chris Sutton, will be there. The Southern Gypsies will be there in one form or another. I think it's going to be the Connor sisters. And I just found out Spirit Mechanix are going to be there. So there you go. Covington, Kentucky. Just look them up on Facebook, Universal Energy Expo. Okay, question from the chat room real quick. Do you guys carry any protection with you? And I don't mean the Glock. I mean like crystals or anything else like that. Do you actually do anything passive?
It depends on what we're doing. In all honesty, with what we do, certain entities see that kind of thing as either A, a challenge, or B, provocation, depending on what it is that you're wearing. Especially if you're rolling into a demonic situation with crucifix around your neck, it's almost like having a bullseye on your chest. You have to be very careful with that. Usually when we're out and about and I do wear things. I've got, the bracelets and the necklaces, but those aren't for my protection. Those do other things. Now, does that mean that we go in completely
wide the hell open? Down?
Absolutely not.
No, I used to wear a lot of protections when I was first starting into everything, and then I started to understand how shielding works and things like that. So I do a very passive, if not a passive aggressive shield, just more of a no or as far as an intention. But if I know that it's going to be a horrible situation, yeah, I'll probably wear something that's a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? More stealthy, something that I'm not seeing, that kind of thing. That way I can kind of move about and move about the house and do the things that I need to do. Because when we kind of going into this, when we go into a house call, we all have different assignments and stuff like that. And usually I'm the one who is the control. So I don't go on to the phone calls or the consult calls. And for the reason is, if they're saying that way, I don't have to hear. Well, I don't have to hear. That way, I don't hear what their symptoms are and all this and that. I go through and I'll confirm it via, via sensitivity, via my guides, via, whatever divine's calling to me at that particular moment in time. So, but as far as like having a protection, it's usually I'm just slipping through to be unnoticed.
A lot of times it's better to cause less friction than it is to show up in full plate armor, It's one of those things that you have to think about it this way. The things that you know about to protect yourself, talismans, crucifixes, rosaries, different types of stones. Just because you know about them, it doesn't mean that what you're dealing with doesn't.
Or does.
Right. It's that whole situation of you have to kind of go into it expecting that they do. I've been on cases before Spirit Mechanics, where we've gone in and there was a Catholic priest, there was a Haitian voodoo practitioner, there was a Hopi shaman, a Navajo shaman, and I'm trying to remember because there was one more, and there's probably a reason why I can't remember. A Egyptian practitioner. That's the reason why I can't remember. And all of them were working on the same person. And the reason being is because when they all tried to do it by themselves, they were always countered. 100% of the time. Didn't matter what they wore, didn't matter what they used, didn't matter what they prayed. And the reason why is because the entity knew exactly what to expect. They knew exactly what the flow was, exactly what the prayer was, and even recited it with them. What it comes down to as far as protection is more about your specific intention and the faith in your flavor of divine.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it boils down to. Now, if you need to have a focal tool to maintain that faith, such as a crucifix, such as a talisman, such as a crystal, then by all means do the thing. But that's really what it is. It's kind of like tying a red string to your finger so that you always remember that that particular divine is always there. Oh, I can look at this bracelet and know that I'm safe. I can, clench onto my crucifix and know that I'm safe because my God has me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it is. So a lot of times we don't. We don't go in wearing anything unless we are intentionally
causing a provocation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very, very rare.
Extremely.
We don't believe in doing that unless the situation absolutely warrants it.
Now, one thing I've suggested to people, because they ask me what I wear for protection, and I never. Well, actually, when I first got into ghost hunting, I had a what's the black one that everybody wears?
Tourmaline.
Tourmaline.
Yeah.
I had one of those, and when I would go ghost hunting, it was like I was invisible to them. So anyway,
Yep.
so I quit wearing that unless, like you said, I really feel like I need the extra oomph. But later on, I did start wearing the little Archangel Michael stone pendants. Now, people, when I say Archangel Michael, I'm not talking about the religious metal. It's a little blue stone with a mother of pearl inlay. Whoever decided that was Archangel Michael's stone, I have no idea. I liked it. I started wearing it. And I thought of it more as a capacitor. In other words, it would kind of store my good energy. And so that way, anytime I was a little weak or down, it would be there for me, like you said. And I'd clench the hell out of that thing sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it was, I didn't so much think of it as protection as I did, like I said, it was just a way for me to even out my energy. And so I tell people to do that, but I tell them, you go in and you pick what you identify with. If it's a stone, don't worry about it being quartz. Don't worry about it being this, that. Pick something you like, something that you feel, and then wear it, and like I said, and make sure you wear it on the good days so that it gets the positive energy.
Good man.
Yeah. So I'm wise beyond my years. Now we mentioned some demonic stuff, and I've asked you all this on the show before.
Oh, yeah.
On demons, of course, that is the go-to word on TV nowadays. Mm-hmm. And of course, we can all blame one TV show, but the others are doing it too.
That's true.
In other words, and that's because the producers want that word in the description in the TV guide. Is TV guide even still a damn thing? My point being, I know it's overused. In your all's opinion on cases, when it's brought to your attention, my house has a demon in the basement, whatever. what would you say is actually the validity percentage-wise of cases that you all go in, that you actually find something that you would call a demon?
Less than 1%.
Seriously.
Less than 1%.
The likelihood of actually having a demonic in your home or in your person is very, very, very slim. It's easy to sensationalize your situation because of, as you brought up, media. Because everything's just oversaturated with it. Movies, TV shows, most best-selling books right now. It's just everywhere. And you can't escape it. So you read and you watch this stuff, and automatically, you start to self-diagnose. Well, I hear that. I see that. I feel that. I must have a demon. It's basically WebMD.
It's WebMD. I have a twisted ankle, but suddenly I have cancer.
Now that's not to downplay people who are having horrible times, because even with lesser entities in the house or attached to you, you can have very awful situations, very awful symptoms from it. We're not downplaying that. We're just saying that the likelihood of it being a true demonic is very, very low. Because they present with very specific symptoms. Mm-hmm. Now, have we dealt with demonics? Yes. In the Spirit Mechanix tenure,
three in the past 7 years.
Yeah, over several thousand cases.
Yeah,
only 3.
See,
those 3
yeah,
rough, but
of course, part of the problem is it's theologically diverse. The church that I grew up in really didn't talk about them all that much, other than what it was in the Bible, where Jesus sent them into pigs and sent them into the ocean. But the thing is, my understanding is, with biblical scholars, they actually, there's only, in other words, there's a limited number of demons to go around. They're not reproducing, as you might say. Yeah. But there are theologies that like to lump other stuff that we have talked about before into that category.
Yes.
Elementals. I believe there's a whole spiritual realm of, my theory is, it's actually a hypothesis because I can't test it till I die, that certain human entities, after you pass and they get into the afterlife and they don't follow the instructions like they're supposed to, I think that some of them actually. Now here's the demonic side of it. I want to say it, but it's a generic term. Make a deal with the devil. In other words, they do things or are offered something in exchange. I don't know exactly how it works, but I have encountered human entities that had weird agendas, if you will, weird powers. One that even Amy Allen had brought up on one of her episodes. She called it a soul collector. Mm-hmm. I tend to call them soul suckers because there seems to be something they get out of it.
Yeah, we were on that case.
Yeah, actually, that was one that we did.
Okay. So we've talked about. I'm on board with you. But I've been called in on several cases where people were saying, and honestly, one that I've talked about on the show, at least on Paranormal Filler quite a bit, where I used to go to a certain restaurant and bar that everybody was convinced had this demons dripping from the walls.
Yeah.
Now, I cannot imagine, and I still have a certain priest that says you shouldn't go there. They're just tricking you. But when I go there, I can't find that kind of energy. I've never butted heads with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
We're
I
not
can't.
messing with that old man.
Well, that's what I cannot imagine. Your typical demon sitting around going, "No, I ain't gonna mess with him." No, So in other words, I really think I've just lucked around it rather than they're hiding from me.
Well, see, in that particular case, and that's another thing that's a misconception. You can ask a theologian this, you can ask a metaphysician this, you can ask, any form of shaman this. Demonics have no intention of actually controlling people. They have no intention of actually doing what a lot of people say they do. The way that they work is through influence. It starts out really subtle, really slow. Hey man, maybe. Why don't you listen to this instead? Why don't you think about it this way instead?
Do the gambler addiction.
So, think about it this way. Specifically, demonics are actually linked to vices, addictions. And they can be anything from very mundane, very, alcohol, substances, sex, adrenaline, and gambling. And this is one that we use a lot. So all they need is an in. You got this guy, and he goes to the local casino, and he goes in, and he spends his entire night there, loses everything in his wallet, cleans out his entire bank account, gets a little bit drunk because he's down on his luck, forgets the fact that betting your house and your car is a bad idea, bets his house and his car, loses everything, walks outside mopey. I have nothing. If only somebody would give me a couple dollars, I could win it back in a heartbeat. I know I could. If only somebody would just spot me a little bit of money. And here comes this random person, guy, girl, doesn't matter. This random person that nobody else seems to be noticing or paying attention to. And sure, I'll spot you. I got you. I got a little bit of extra. Here you go. Go have fun. Go have fun. He goes back in, and he wins it back. Okay? Next weekend, hey, I've got great damn luck because I won everything back. Goes back to that same casino, loses everything again. Steps outside, starts moping, says the same thing. If only somebody would spot me $5, just $5, just a 5 spot, I could win it all back. And then he starts to beg. I need that. I need that $5. And he starts to think about all the money he blew when his house needs repairs and his kid's sick and, his job is on the line and all of a sudden, here comes that same person out of nowhere. Oh, what? Did you lose it all again? Yeah. Can you spot me? Can you spot me that $5? Sure, but in return, I need this from you. And that's how that works. That's how demonics work. An open-ended contract like that can end you up in a situation where you are being finger puppeted. That's how they actually work.
I've seen it to a point to where there's a spouse in an abusive situation, and then if anybody will hear me, get me out of this. Sure enough, that night, the ex is gone. He leaves for some reason and never comes back. And then stuff starts happening.
The proverbial deal with the devil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to take our final commercial break. Then we're going to come back for just a moment. I do want to remind everybody, if you go to patreon.com/ScarefestRadio, The post is there to join tonight's Zoom meeting, and we're going to continue the show. You might say, we're going to do it on Zoom. Everybody that's in the chat room now, anybody watching this, you're welcome to come. I just sent you you guys the I haven't even sent them the link, but anyway, they got it now. So commercial break. Scarefest TV be back in just a minute after commercials and Bonehead Weekly.
Horror. Movies. Fans. For. Life. On Facebook. Find us. For watch parties. For news. For memes. For friends. For life. Horror movie fans for life. Join us.
Everyone is talking about CBD oil. Most of us know that CBD is a cannabis compound that has significant medical benefits, but does not make people high. Its benefits include pain relief, anti-seizure properties, anxiety relief, fights cancer, reduces the risk of diabetes, and it is even used as a sleep aid. Blue Leaf Naturals CBD and hemp products are full-spectrum hemp extract oils. They use only hemp grown in Kentucky, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses and helping you and your family stay healthy and well. Blue Leaf Naturals, created with care from seed to shelf. Visit their website at blueleafnaturals.com. Blue Leaf Naturals, a Kentucky proud company.
Hey, Scarefest folks. This is Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly. This movie's been talked about a lot, and I haven't been able to get to it because I did the last 2 weeks of The Stand, and Wes gave birth to a heifer or something, which caused a problem with the schedule. I want to talk about Godzilla versus Kong, Kong versus Godzilla, whatever it's called. It's the first time I got back into a movie theater in over a year, and I enjoyed it. Went with a friend of mine, his wife, and his kid. Had a good time. Lex Live, highly recommend. I'm a King Kong fan. Love the original King Kong. Like the original Godzilla. Even the Americanized version with Raymond Burr that don't make a hell of a lot of sense. I even enjoy that. I like creature features. I like big-ass monsters kicking the crap out of one another. I like all that. They made Godzilla when they were kind of Legendary Pictures through Universal, and they were ramping this up. They made Godzilla. Beautiful film, kind of slow towards the end. Don't care for the lead actor. Bryan Cranston's great in it. And then they made Godzilla King of the Monsters. Lots of action, wonderful action. One of the worst dialogue screenplays I've ever heard uttered by great actors. Skull Island, about King Kong, that takes place in the 70s with a great soundtrack. Samuel L. Jackson yelling at a monkey. Yeah! But enjoyed that. That was probably my favorite. Did I like Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus King Kong, whatever it's called? Yeah. But I've got to tell you a secret. I can't tell you the plot. I've got no idea what the hell the plot was. They eventually fight, but you kind of saw that coming. There's a lot of action in it. And it's directed by a guy named Adam Wingard. Adam Wingard come from low budget or at least B budget horror films. And he's worked his way up. He directed a movie I truly like, two, called You're Next and The Guest. They're both wonderful. Check them out. I think they're on Netflix or Amazon. He also directed the new Blair Witch that came out a few years ago. He's a talented guy. He has a distinct kind of voice. Finally got this huge, big budget film and how he would work his voice or his vision into it. And he does. If you think, why does Hong Kong have so much neon, and why does this soundtrack go to electronica every once in a while? That's Adam Wingard. I enjoyed the movie. I just don't know that it's any good. It's a lot of fun. Will we remember it 10 years from now? Probably not. because there's just no plot. I mean, they eventually got to fight. There's some ships. Godzilla's really cool in it. There's a corporation. They're evil. There's an evil guy who's a billionaire. You know the story. They've got to get these two together. There's a hole in the middle of the planet for the underverse or whatever the hell it's called, or the midworld, or oh my God. It's cool looking. I enjoy it. Godzilla's a lot of fun. He beats the shit out of everybody. Or as my friend Jared would say, why do they always get King Kong's the good guy and Godzilla is the bad guy? Well, I don't know if I quite see it that way, but King Kong has always had pathos. Even if you go back to the original 30s version, King Kong is a tragedy in the fact that the monster gets it in the end, and just people came to his island and messed with him and brought him back to some place. It's not Kong's fault, right, that he's in New York on top of the Empire State Building swinging at biplanes. He got dragged to that. He is besieged by fate, as Vincent Price would once say. So should you see Godzilla versus Kong? Of course, it's a lot of fun. If you like giant monster pictures, you can't go wrong. I know it's called Godzilla versus Kong, but just give me a plot. And my one big critique of the whole thing is this, and we've talked about it on Bonehead Weekly as well. Where does all the money come from for all these giant corporations? This has been Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly. Go see Godzilla versus Kong.
All right, everybody, we're closing out the show tonight, Scarefest TV, with our guest, the Spirit Mechanic, Steve and Brian. Okay, next weekend, May 1st and 2nd, they're at Universal Energy Expo in Covington. The following weekend, they're in Lexington, Kentucky at the Clarion Inn at Central Kentucky Mystical Market. Anything else on the agenda, boys?
Actually,
we're going to be on the Riff Network with for another podcast here.
Crossroads.
Yeah, the Thursday between the two of them.
So May 6th.
Yeah,
we'll be on Crossroads. You can look them up on Facebook. They are Crossroads. It's a podcast bit. You can look them directly up through the Riff Network, which is it's up and coming for paranormal podcasts and live streams. They've got a couple others with some friends of ours.
Keith Ottersberg, Ottersden's on that network. But yeah, we're going to be on that. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a class electronically if anybody's interested in that. But it's primarily on flow and movement. We'll be doing that through our Discord. It's a free platform anybody can download as far as that. You just go to our website at spiritmechanics.com and register for it. Other than that,
you can register. You can go directly there, spiritmechanics.com/store, and register for it there. The email that you give us, we're going to be sending out emails tomorrow morning. So if you're interested, you want to take the class, because it's a workshop. It's not just lectures. We're going to be doing the thing, and we usually have a lot of fun with this. So
I was just watching in the chat room. Christopher St. Booth, so glad you could join us 60 seconds before the end of the show. But if you'd like,
just
Christopher,
like Rockstar, man.
You can go to patreon.com/ScarefestRadio and join our free Q&A with the Spirit Mechanics night. Everybody, this has been Scarefest TV. Thanks for joining us. We will be back next week.